with challenges of identity, challenges of education, challenges of what we are being taught, as opposed to what they wish to be taught. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I think when it comes to imparting knowledge, when we're teaching within our institute, for example, we're teaching to individuals to make them fully integrated citizens of Britain, but at the same time retain their Islamic identity. And we can do that quite confidently because, as I mentioned, we have individuals, scholars and teachers who are also, confident as describing themselves as Muslims and confident in describing themselves as British. And because they can do that, they can act as role models for these young people.
Some would argue.
I wouldn't listen to them.
Thank you. You're from Bradford.
Oh, yeah, we don't listen to argumentation.
Some would argue that this is wrong. What you're saying is wrong due to the fact that it goes against the grain. It's some of the stuff taught in secular educational schools goes against our moral compass, our religious understanding, and it's against our tradition. What would you say to that?
Well, I would say, schools are secular organizations. So that's the first and foremost thing that we need to understand. Schools are not there to impart religion. That's not their role. They still may teach religion as part of some kind of statutory requirement.
Hence the question I've asked, is there an identity crisis there? Do you have students who struggle with this kind of education, where they've been taught something else in the school, and they've been brought up at home, or they live in certain communities or cultures and traditions? Again, I'm not saying tradition and culture is a bad thing, which goes against certain things that are being taught in the secular state schools, as opposed to the religious or private sector organizations.
Well, with the so-called Trojan horse scenario which happened in Birmingham and obviously its repercussions in Bradford and other cities, the problem now is that even when governing bodies or individuals, good intended parents want to bring a little bit of their faith into schools, there's now this fear factor that, this is a kind of a Trojan horse and these Muslim parents want to take over and they're going to make us all eat halal meat and they're going to make us, start praying, and then the women have to cover their head. And now there's this fear generated. You see, that's achieved its goal by whoever wanted to achieve its goal by starting this whole Trojan horse thing. So now parents do fear in asking for certain things within these secular settings, which are schools. Clearly, things will be taught within these secular settings which would conflict with beliefs at home. This is one of the problems of the system. Hence, private education within an Islamic school can bridge that gap. So whereas we teach evolution as we teach science, we teach many other aspects within our schools which could go contrary to certain beliefs. But when we teach that, we can also give a context around that. We can give an explanation around that, which the parents won't be able to do because they're not equipped to do so. So that the child is confidently learning in fitting within the greater society, but not at the expense of his identity. But yes, I agree that when you're in a secular environment, which is, pushing certain types of views upon you, and then you're hearing sort of, bits and pieces of information from home, which could be kind of, I heard, so it's not categorically factual because they're not hearing it from a scholar, then I can see where that potential clash can occur, and then you're kind of deciding, do I want this particular lifestyle or this particular lifestyle? And it's quite easy which one's more pleasing, which one sometimes gets adopted.
Okay.